Welcome to a very cool old town in Florida called Dade City. This city is named after Major Francis Dade, who was killed in 1835 in the Second Seminole War. He was bringing a troop of soldiers up from Fort Brooke, which is now Tampa, to Ocala, which was Fort King. And along that path, he was stalked by a group of Seminole Indians laying in wait. And as they got closer, they were ambushed. Over 100 soldiers died, only 3 survived. This town was dedicated to Major Dade, and it has been named after him. It has been incorporated as a city as of the late 1800s. Behind me is the courthouse, which was erected in 1909. This is a great old historic town with a lot of war history. We're gonna go and explore what was also a POW camp for German soldiers here in the middle of Dade. In 1942 to 1946, a lot of rich heritage, rich history. Come along with me today as we go and explore that. Across from us is the Wells Fargo Bank. This was the first bank or first building erected with bricks in the early 1900s, I believe. Of course, it looks pretty good. I'm sure they've remodeled and redone it a few times, but it is officially the first brick building in Dade City. Memorial for the fallen police officers and law enforcement. Population of about 7,000 people, so it's not very busy. It's a very small, quaint, cool little old town. Cool little ABL Dade City little brew house. It is a small little town. Pretty neat. That sometimes is the difficult part about these little towns, is not a whole lot is going on, not a lot is open. Makes it challenging. Looks like everything's closed up today, huh?
On Sunday, these two are closed every Sunday. This one opens on Wednesday at 11.
Okay.
And this one opens back up on Tuesday at 11.
Do you live here?
Well, I live on the streets.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you live out here on your
I just sleep wherever I can.
sleep wherever you can out here in Dade City, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. What put you on the streets?
I was staying with a friend and she didn't like the way I did something, so she threw me out.
Really? How long ago was that?
I've been out here for over almost a year now.
Wow. You doing okay?
I do what I can to survive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you talking to me.
Not a problem.
And it's really unfortunate how much homelessness I come across when I'm doing videos. I don't seek it out. I just like to talk to as many people as I can, and so many people are on the streets. It's so unfortunate and sometimes very shocking, to be honest with you. And it's amazing how people are so resilient and make do with the best they can. Like so many of the small towns I go to, I think it's going to be best to cover a lot of this by car. So much of it's just desolate and not much going on. I don't want to bore you with just walking and not having a lot to say, so let's see what we can discover by car. We'll drive around, find some cool spots, we'll stop, talk to some people if we can, and we'll just go to the outskirts. We'll do everything we can, go see what this town has to offer. It's a beautiful, historic little old town, and like I said, we'll go find the place where the POW camp is. I know that that's been torn down, obviously, and they built, in my understanding of doing my research, they built a civic center there. But I'd still like to be able to show you the spot where it was and see if there's any placard or anything to commemorate that. So let's go see what we can do. There's not a lot to see. It's a small town. My goodness. One thing I'm not sure if it'll come across on video is the topography of this town. Florida is typically known for being very flat, but when you get to this part of Florida, around Dade City, Brooksville, and parts of North Florida, it's actually very hilly. And when you've been here your whole life and you go to areas like that, it's very different. You don't feel like you're in Florida, you feel like you've been transported to another area because you're, again, so used to everything being completely flat, barely above sea level. So it's pretty neat to come to this area. I hope I'm not coming across as nasally. I spent the past 2 weeks moving into a new residence, and even though I had movers, I'm not the type to stop until everything's unpacked, undone. And doing that, I pretty much drove myself to getting sick, and I'm just at the tail end of the sickness. Of course, the congestion in that part is always the last to go. So I apologize if I come across nasally. So behind me is part of the field where the German POW camp was in 1942 through 1946. This POW camp held around 200 German POWs captured in North Africa, part of Rommel's group, which this was called Company 7. Rommel was part of the African Corps, and his soldiers were captured, brought here to work in a field mainly from here all the way up to the corner beyond that tree line. It was 4-man tents holding 4 men per tent with just a wooden structure for their mess hall and the bathrooms. It had 2 barbed wire fences, lighthouse and searchlight on each corner. They would build limestones, do mill work from the lumber area, and they would also do packing, citrus packing. Those were the industries of Dade City back then. And they were here for several years, and it was quite the interesting little thing for the town here. There's a big festival going on, so I won't be able to go over there to that. But there's really not much to see except for this is such a historic little area. It's pretty interesting to think that German soldiers were living here and working here in the 40s. There was only a few industries in Dade City. One of them was working in the wood mills for lumber. Like I mentioned earlier, some of them were building limestone bricks, and some of them were doing moonshine. Moonshine was quite the thing back in the day. I think this could be an old wine moonshine distillery or an example of one. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm just exploring as we go, so come along with me for the ride. Oh, okay. So this is what it would have looked like. Interesting. Pretty neat. Wow, that is really cool. Now I've stumbled across a part of the town here. Looks like they have tried to keep some of the historical buildings and some of the replicas, or some of these are original homes from my understanding of the research, is that they've restored some of these homes. So let's go take a look at them. Pretty neat. You might hear some banjos playing in the background. Looks like there's a little get together over here in this warehouse type building. But wow. I'm just assuming nobody honestly lives here, right? Don't wanna. Okay, so Overstreet House, built in 1860s. Very neat. Wow. Oh man. Such a cool little place. I always talk about the smell-o-vision, but if you could smell just the nostalgia and the oldness of this home. I think a part of the reason I always talk about smells is I'm colorblind, so my sense of smell is highly acute. This is incredible. So this would have been, I guess, the kitchen. I understand they had them separate back then so that if there was a fire, it didn't destroy the entire home. I could be wrong about that. I'm not a historian. I'm a lover of history, but not a historian. So don't kill me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's go upstairs. How you doing?
Good. See if I can get down the stairs safely.
I know, they're steep ones. The heat is stifling in here. Got to give it to them back then, living without air conditioning. Just tells you how spoiled we are to have air conditioning. What a neat little place, though. Kind of reminds me of the home that I visited over in Mulberry. Got your chicken coop, your outhouse, that had to be fun, and the shed. Something about these old nostalgia towns that just fascinate me. I love history. And, granted, the history of America is so young compared to other parts of the world, but still neat when you're born and raised here. So this is the old Methodist church, 1878. It's closed up. What was this? Maybe a schoolhouse? Yeah. So what really put Dade City on the map was when they built the train, put railroad tracks through the town. That brought the industry for the mills in the citrus packing. because obviously everyone knows Florida is known for the citrus, especially back in the day. So once they had the ability to transport it, it really helped boom the industry. (1918), the Great War, in its 4th year conflict, Spanish Florida became something deadly worldwide. The deadly pandemic. Unfortunately, all of this is locked up. Let's see if this is open. Nope, locked. Very cool. And here, the old locomotive. Beautiful day out. As you can see, maybe the storms are brewing, blowing in. Nice cool breeze right now. Still in the 90s, but Trilby Depot. Steam engine number 3. Very neat. Definitely in one of those areas of Florida that I want to be respectful, obviously, as always. Respect everybody, but you also get your butt shot real quick if you walk up or go to the wrong properties or onto the wrong roads. A lot of these roads are unpaved. But we don't give up that easy. Let's see what we can find. Well guys, found a little place here that's abandoned alongside of the road. Pretty typical for these small little towns. Here looks like a little theater. Not the kind of theater you want to take your children to, if you know what I mean. But luckily it's not open. Doesn't look like it survived very well in this little area. And then of course, a really interesting looking gas station with some, I don't know if those are fuel tanks or what, but they don't look like they've survived too well with the storms we've had. As always in Florida, Mother Nature is reclaiming the land. Fleet fueling. But man, those are some giant tanks to blow over. We'll see how that would have happened. I know a lot of people from some of my other videos talked about scrapping. You would think these tanks would be worth something, even in a scrap perspective. Well guys, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video right here. As you can see behind me, got a storm that's coming in pretty fast. And one thing in Florida you don't do is mess with the thunder and lightning. The lightning will get you way before you know it. And I just don't want to take any chances. But again, thank you as always for coming along with me on this adventure. I enjoyed it. Sorry if it was a little short and sweet. This was a small little town. I didn't know what to expect. Sometimes I just go out and go by the seat of my pants to see what we can get into. But do me a big favor, hit that like button. It tells YouTube that this is a great video put out to other people. Helps me out more than you know. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this. So I will see you on the next video.